Welcome to Decades of Horror, the classic era.
Now, I can tell you my own fear of what I might be risking here since I revealed to you the secret of Villa Graps.
This is episode 130, recorded July 17th, 2022.
Gruesome Magazine.
I am your host, Jeff Mohr. On this podcast, we cover the good, the bad, and maybe even the ugly films released since the beginning of time through 1969. In each episode, we'll discuss the monster spirits, psychos, and villains that have haunted movie-going audiences since the dawn of film history.
Okay.
God.
That's
Yeah,
way back.
barely.
Way back.
Barely. Way back. Decades of Horror, the classic era, also partners with Play Now Media, a streaming company with a lot of genre streaming channels. And we are shown on 3 of their channels: the classic sci-fi movie channel, the classic horror movie channel, and the Wicked Horror TV channel. And in fact, today's movie is available on 2 of those, the classic horror movie channel and the Wicked Horror TV channel. So check it out. You can watch stuff for free. You'll get ads, or you can pay a subscription fee in which you'll get even more content available to you without ads. So check that out. Works on most things. I watch it on my Fire TV or on my computer on the web. All right, with me this week are Mike.
Picks it up.
Does it?
My toothbrush picks it up too. Yeah.
They carry almost all the apps, right? Your toothbrush.
Yeah.
All right. With me this week are my incredible co-ghosts. Unfortunately, Whitney Collazo can't be with us today, but she will be back. But we are going to miss her because we've got a witch or two in this episode. Also with us is Chad Hunt, co-host of Decades of Horror, the All of Them, and a comic book artist and writer. Chad, how are you?
Well, I was going to say fantastic, but there's fantastic, then there's unbelievable, and then there's whatever's beyond unbelievable. That's me.
I'm glad to hear it.
Oh,
I
that
thought
makes
you might
me
have
feel so good.
Yeah,
Me too.
You might have lost a little luster since the last time, but you know, it's you
Comes with age.
You look great. You look great. Also with us is Daphne, who is awesome, stupendous, and likable as hell. How you doing, Daphne?
I'm doing real good. I miss Whitney, but happy to see you guys. And looking forward to talking about this really cool Bava movie.
Yeah, I always have fun talking to you guys about this stuff, and this is a great pick. So, today's movie is how many bajillion? 56 years old. So we will spoil the heck out of it. If you haven't seen it and you don't want to be spoiled, then you should probably stop listening or watching. But or if you're like me and you don't really remember much, you go ahead and listen and then go watch the movie and you won't remember anything anyway. So anyway, our pick today was chosen by Daphne. It's Kill, Baby, Kill from 1966. Directed by Mario Bava, the one and only. Written by Romano Migliorini, Roberto Natali, and Mario Bava, with English version dialogue written by John Davis Hart. The cast includes Giacomo, or is it? I think his name was Giacomo. Rossi Stewart, Erica Blank, Fabienne Dali, Giovanna Galletti, Valerio Valeri, and Luciano Cadenacci, among many others. It was produced for FUL Films. That wasn't really the production company. It was sort of self-produced. Filmed in Italy, around Rome. The filming dates, gets really weird because I got January 10th to the 21st in 1966. However, Bava said it took 12 days. Erica Blank said it was about 20 days. And Lamberto Bava, Mario's son, who was assistant director, said it was about 4 weeks. So I don't know, you know. The release date, July 8th, 1966, in Turin, Italy, and October 8th, 1967, for some reason, I guess it premiered in Pittsburgh in the U.S. The budget, according to Tim Lucas, is less than $50,000. And the box office was 201 million lira. And I tried to translate that. I came up with like a little over 300,000, but I thought that Lucas said it made about 130,000. So I don't know. I may have misheard him. But at any rate, it actually did okay later and overseas. It's got a lot of AKAs. So in the US, it was Kill Baby Kill, which is not particularly descriptive, I don't think. In the original title, Italy, was Operazione Paura, which means Operation Fear. In the US, later as a reissue, it was released as Curse of the Living Dead. In Germany, it was Die Toten Augen des Dr. Dracula.
That's very, very cool.
The Death Eyes of Dr. Dracula, which we don't see Dracula. I don't know. And I just love, Augen. Die Toten Augen. And the synopsis is, a Carpathian village is haunted by the ghost of a murderous little girl, prompting a coroner and a medical student to uncover her secrets while a witch attempts to protect the villagers. And there is said little girl there looking through the window.
I want to punch her so bad.
Creepy
kid.
That's all I can say. All right. Next up, in our effort to be predictably unpredictable, are taglines.
Oh, okay. We still doing
Yay! Yes.
Yeah, we're still doing those.
All right. Today's challenge for the taglines is find one that actually pertains to this film. Okay? There's going to be 5 of them, so everybody that's listening, just pick one that might go with it, or it could possibly go with an Elvis movie. So, all right. Tagline number 1. The night brings terror, blood-chilling fear.
Doesn't really tell you anything. Yeah. I mean, sounds good, but.
Yeah, it does sound good, I guess. Tagline number 2, coming soon to scare you. Okay, I can tell by the enthusiastic response to that one. We should move on to the third tagline, which is eerie, horrific, blood-curdling.
Shameful.
They could have strung all 3 of these into one tagline, and it still wouldn't have said anything about this film. All right, the fourth tagline, and this is from the SQ show, whatever that is. Makes you shiver and shake, makes you quiver and quake.
This
Uh-huh.
is from Alliterations Are Us, creative tagline writing company.
Oh.
Yeah, man.
With onomatopoeia. Anyway, so that was actually a double feature with Sounds of Horror, and apparently they said Kill Baby Kill would make you shiver and shake, and Sounds of Horror would make you quiver and quake.
Oh.
Whatever their reason for that. The fifth tagline, which could have something to do with this film, I'm not sure yet. Shiver and quiver with Kill Baby Kill, man.
Oh yeah. Now and baby.
Yeah.
We got rid of the alliteration and went with rhymes. All right. Well, let's go with first impressions. And as I said, this is Daphne's pick, and I want to hear what she thinks of this.
I was trying really hard this week to figure out when I saw it, because I saw the release dates and everything for VHS, and it just seems like I couldn't have seen it on VHS. But I'm really lucky where I live in Seattle. Well, where I lived in Seattle when I was young and willing to leave my house, was they had a really awesome, they had lots of really awesome theaters nearby, and a really great video store called Scarecrow Video. But I'm pretty sure that they had a Bava film festival at this awesome theater called the Grand Illusion. And I did not go to it
Sounds
but
cool.
I think I was like, oh, what's up with, I recognize Mario Bava. So I don't know how I saw it the first time, but I know I saw it probably at least 10 or 15 years ago. And I thought, God, this is crazy. What's going on here? But I didn't really get into it much more than that. And then after, talking with you guys and learning a little bit more about Bava, I watched it a couple of years ago and really enjoyed it. So I thought it would be cool to watch it again. I do know that when I saw it earlier, I loved the costumes. I loved the kind of atmospheric village that they lived in. It just seemed really cool and so far away from my life that I really kind of liked that. And I loved that it just started off with a woman throwing herself onto sharp objects. I don't know what you would call the technically. I don't know what those are technically called, but the tops of fences or whatever, impaling. And so I just saw that it was streaming, and I thought it would be awesome to talk about it. I think it's a fun movie. It's a really cool movie. Yeah, and I appreciate being able to watch it after kind of learning a little bit more about Bava and just kind of looking at the colors more and that kind of stuff. So I like it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you picked it. So Chad, how about you? Had you seen this before? You're muted, buddy.
Some people said they like it better that when I'm muted. But anyway.
I thought I weeded all those comments out.
No, I saw a couple of them. Tell him to shut up. This is the first time watching this, and the reason being is I've seen the title of it many times, "Kill Baby Kill," and it just sounded like one of those 1960s hipster hippie movies. I don't know. It just felt like that kind of movie, like one of those beach movies from back in the 60s with Buster Keaton and all those guys in it. But I never put two and two together that it was a Bava film. I didn't know it was a Bava film. I think last week I thought it was a Jess Franco film or something. But so it was cool to see another Bava film. So I'm glad you picked it, Daphne. And my first impressions are, this is a really cool movie. It's like Daphne said, right out of the gate, you see this woman fall onto these fence spikes, and then they play the whole title sequence over the bloody spikes sticking out of her back, which I thought was freaking awesome. And so I like that, and I like the storyline. It's a beautiful movie. It really is beautifully shot. There's some sets in there that I could have sworn were like miniatures. I wasn't sure, or if they were actual built sets on a soundstage somewhere. Especially of the castle grounds or the villa grounds and the buildings in there and everything were just beautifully done. It has that Bava. It was almost like Bava trying to do Hammer films, with the Gothic sensibilities in there, and some of the characters reminded me of Hammer films. So, but yeah, I loved it. It's a ghost story. It's a witch story. A lot of creepy stuff going on in it. I really, really liked it a lot. So I'm glad we're covering it.
Yeah, I am too. And frankly, I hadn't seen this before. And it's probably because you're probably right. I think the God, I don't know why do Americans screw up titles so much, but Kill Baby Kill. I still don't really know what the hell it's got to do with the movie, but and then a poster with a creepy doll on it, which we'll take a look at later. Those don't always suck me in,
Mm-hmm.
And a creepy kid, which is like, oh no, not another Italian horror movie with a creepy kid. But I would put this in. This is one of my top horror movies. I think I can't think of too much not good about this. I think this is fantabulous. I love the acting. I love the sets. I love the set decoration. I love the cinematography. I love the story. This is a fairly straightforward and followable story.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I just had a great time and scared you too. I mean, it's like, I don't know. I just thought it was great.
Yay.
I loved it.
Yeah.
So let's go from there. And I'm going to show a bunch of posters here. And I mean, a bunch of posters because I get carried away. Hey,
oh boy,
it's my privilege. So this is the one I see the most of. So you got the doll, you got the little girl, you got the Erica Blanc.
Again, I love the color. I love all those colors. So
yeah, they split that all the way through. Yeah, Monica. And this is another sort of variation on that, just arranged differently. Really.
Dolls were creepy.
Yeah. And the dolls
kids
got
are
a nice
creepy.
little dagger.
Dolls are creepy. Yeah. Dagger. Dolls, kids, daggers.
And then the top one, it seems to me like they're going for like the Bava, some of the shots he's taken through that town, where they're walking down weird corridors and stuff. That bottom one is that's when the film was re-released under we looked at a trailer of that. Europix reissued the film under the title Curse of the Living Dead. Now this one also was Curse of the Dead. And actually one reel was removed from it, which is like, I don't know. They cut about 11 minutes and I don't know. I doubt that it was a real nice edit. They probably just pulled it out somewhere. In a triple feature that they called Orgy of the Living Dead in the United States in 1972. So they took a film that was originally called The Murder Clinic and retitled it Revenge of the Living Dead. And then they took another film that was titled Malenka and called that Fangs of the Living Dead. And then Kill Baby Kill Apparizione Paura became Curse of the Living Dead. Triple feature at the drive-in. Okay.
When you sent us the info about that triple feature, I was like, okay, so which is which? Because all the titles have so little to do with each of the movies.
I know.
And
the trailer opens up with, I think the trailer open up with a guy in a straitjacket going, whoa, that's so crazy.
I got to say the trailer is awesome. I watched it right before we started and it was awesome. But yeah, I had no idea. I would have known absolutely nothing going into it.
That top poster looks like it's one of those Mondo pieces that it's like a modern day take on old movie posters. But I because I've seen that before. I've seen that before. It's a more modern.
I should have dug
modern
in
take
for
on
the
it.
artist name, but
Mhm.
and here's another one. Newly restored. And that one, I don't know what does that say on there? I can't see it. But I like that one. We got
Mondo Bava. I don't know what that says. Let me get my cheaters. The best of Italy's something maestro.
Okay. I like that one.
Yep, that's a cool one.
Really,
It looks like an
colorful.
episode of Family Affair. Gone wrong.
Oh, gone. Oh, so wrong. But we get the greens, in the bottom. We get the blues in the top, which is kind of it. You're muted, Daphne.
Which is probably a good thing. I was saying, no, Mr. French, no.
Oh, yes. And an Italian poster. This is maybe my favorite.
Mhm. That's nice.
And
Yeah, I like
now we
that one.
move to the Totem Algen.
Jeez,
That one's kind of
look at
crazy
that guy at
too.
the top.
That guy was made for horror movies. The
Carl.
Burgermeister. Carl.
Yes.
Even,
talk about
even
him.
had the name good. Carl the Burgermeister.
And another German one, which actually kind of gives the idea of the death eyes, I guess.
Mhm.
Although
I really like that one. I mean, it's just like, what is going on here?
yeah, regardless that there's no
That's
nude?
got to
She's
be
nude, right?
No,
I
there's
mean-
nothing, but
it's got to be the most misleading poster in all of movie history.
and that's saying something.
Yeah.
But it is pretty misleading.
That is it.
Yeah.
And the last poster, Japanese,
Oh,
but I
yeah.
like their montage
Mhm.
techniques are cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the
See?
split in the middle. That's a really cool poster.
Wow, look at old
We
lady
get,
Grap.
Exactly.
yes,
Ooh, she's
in the
mean.
mirror, in the funhouse mirror there. All right. So there's a poster. So Bava, here's a quiz.
Oh no.
How many Bava films has Decades of Horror done? Don't try to think of them. Just kind of make it.
3.
Including 70s and all?
Yeah, including 7.
Oh, including 70s.
That question was just a diversion because I have no idea.
You're such a genius.
Well,
it was all of them. That's what happens when you go
5.
beyond unbelievable.
This
Wow.
this is
Such
the,
petty
this is-
annoyances are not worth your time.
This is the 9th one.
Oh my God, the 9th?
Yes, yeah. So, and here's Mr. Bava and
Wow.
Black Sunday and Black Sabbath.
Mhm.
Classic era's done those, and then Blood and Black Lace
Mhm.
and Planet of the Vampires. Classic
Vampires.
era's done those. So this is the 5th one the Classic era's done so far.
Wow.
And then 70s did Bay of Blood
Bay of Blood is awesome.
and
Mhm.
Baron Blood.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Was
I
that-
love
did
Lisa and the Devil.
and Lisa and the Devil and Shock.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Who loves you, baby? The devil. The devil loves
And I
you.
did see a reviewer someplace musing that the actor that played Carl might have given Bava the idea of casting Telly Savalas later on.
Oh, wow.
I have to confess, the
right.
thought did cross my mind also.
He didn't say "Who loves you, baby." But, all right.
Who killed you, baby?
So I don't know. I don't know how to go through this other than, as I'm watching this movie, I'm trying to think what should we talk about? And that's like, to me, like every scene, this was one of those Bava films where, at least for me, every scene is like it's constructed perfectly. The shot layout of the shot, it just looks so good. And you mentioned the costumes. I tried to find some stuff that showed it all, but let's take a look at the people first. You've got Giacomo Rossi Stewart and Erica Blanc on this. And
I loved his little Peter Cushing Van Helsing thing over his shoulders.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, he was very stately in his jackets, right? He was in The Last Man on Earth, Chad.
Really?
Yeah, the Vincent Price movie that was shot in Italy. Of the Richard
he was
Matheson.
the. Wasn't he the guy that broke into the house, or he got in?
Ben Cortman. Yeah, he was a.
Yeah. They kept talking to Vincent Price through the door and everything.
But I know he was in. God, I think. He was in Kaltiki, the Immortal Monster.
We need to do that too.
Yeah, we do. Which was, the credit for the directing went to Ricardo Freda, but I think Bava supposedly took over.
Yeah. He did that on a lot of movies. He took over
in that time period. Yeah.
Yeah, after somebody dropped out, or
if it was he doing cinematography and then someone dropped out, or and then the director left? Okay.
Yes. I know he was in a couple other Bava movies. I thought they would jump out at me, but of course not.
I think he, with the research I was doing, he was in a ton of movies, though, like a ton of Italian movies. Yeah.
I was thinking he was in that because didn't Bava make that like Eric the Viking or something like that? I'm just not seeing it for some reason. But I'm sure that he's listed as being on, this is his third Bava movie, and that doesn't count Kaltiki. So I think it's some of those earlier, those Bava movies in the early 60s that don't have, they're not horror, so they don't actually sound like that. Anyway, but I thought he was great. He seemed like a real leading man character that, and he's very I don't know. He could have put on a Superman cape in a couple of his poses, So
yes, that's a good point.
Upright and,
I like the comparison to Peter Cushing, although it's like Peter Cushing played like a certain type of character, so I'm sure that character's in lots of different stories, but he definitely played that role, and I thought he did a great job. But the costumes, even like that the cape that he's wearing and that top one there that you have, it's it's just so cool. It's so during that time.
Is that what it's called, a cape?
I don't know. That's what
the purposes of this podcast, Giacomo Rossi Stewart will be wearing a cape.
A cape.
What's a deer stalker?
I bet it's a deer stalker. That sounds way cooler than a cape.
That's somebody who sets bait down and then hides up in a tree.
No, I think I've heard that in reference to Sherlock Holmes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the deer stalker is a cap. It's that Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, that's
cap
the cap.
Okay. Things. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
those coats. It's like a coat without sleeves that has a cape over the shoulders or something. That I don't know. So yeah. And they were both. I thought they were good. I thought Erica Blanc was great.
Yeah,
she was. She really was. She could. She could. She wasn't just arm candy. She had a good deal to do with the story, and she helped as much as she could. She wasn't just there to be damsel in distress. She was.
I don't. Yeah, see, I don't think there's any characters in the story that are you kind of go, yeah, they could have done without them.
Yeah,
they all do something, even right down to the grave diggers. They're.
And I like that Erica Blanc had she had her own story, her own connection to the town and the mystery behind it. And so it's kind of like she had her own thing going on. Her own thing going on. Like, why was she drawn to this town at this time? Why, there was just a lot of really interesting stuff going on with her. And I thought she did a great job acting, in this role.
Yeah, she did.
So yeah, they both had pretty long and evolved careers in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Rossi Stewart had 96 credits in IMDb. Not that that's definitive, and she had over 100. So
yeah, they were both really good. Whenever I'm watching something that we are going to talk about, or just movies in general, where I have to do research, I like to start a list of other things that I would like to see. I don't set out with that, but it's like usually when you're looking into some of the people, you're like, oh, that sounds really good. I'm gonna remember to watch that. And Erica Blanc had these two movies that were like in the 2000s. One called, and I'm sure I'm gonna butcher it, the Italian, La Fate Ignoranti and Curo Sacro, where she plays older women characters, but the stories sound really interesting. So I wrote those down too as ones I want to see. But she starred in other horror movies around this time, like in the 60s and the 70s. But I thought she did really good.
I gotta start really digging into lists of Bava movies that are not horror, because Rossi Stewart was in a movie called Knives of the Avenger that came out the same year with Cameron Mitchell.
Oh wow!
About a mysterious knife-throwing Viking warrior. I'm hooked.
That sounds interesting. Yeah.
Anyway, there's so many of these things, and so just to kind of, go through the cast. So the witch Ruth was Fabienne Dali, I think, and she does a really good job.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, she was amazing. Yeah,
yeah.
And then the guy that plays this here, Carl, Luciano Catenacci, he also was one of the producers, and he was one of the production managers.
Wow. And
Bava asked him to step in. I believe it's his first acting role. He didn't want to do it. Bava was like, don't worry about it.
Reminded me of Peter Lorre a little bit.
Yeah.
He did real good.
He was billed as Max Lawrence, but he's got his real name in some of the other credits on the movie. But yeah, he was very good.
The thing that I really liked about Fabienne Dali is that sometimes in movies and stories, the witch essentially is the old woman who lives kind of away from the village, that knows about healing and all this stuff, and is just kind of weird. So they ostracize her, but come to her when they need stuff. And Fabienne Dali's character kind of plays that role in this movie, but she's also like the good guy, the good person in there. She's like,
she's a hero.
She figures it out, right? Mm-hmm. She's the one that kind of knows what's going on and watching things. And I really liked that. And even though she was like this, she felt like a central character, even though she didn't have a lot of screen time. And I don't know, I was really drawn to that character. I liked it. And I like that she had this connection to the Burgermeister too, the Luciano, like they were lovers or whatever. But, so that I felt like that kind of added another element to her storyline. Mm-hmm. But I really liked her. I liked that character too.
Yeah. So the doctor, so we have, let me go to the next one here just to throw this up. So the woman on the bottom, Morella Pamphili, played Irina Hollander, who's at the opening of the movie. She's runs out of the castle screaming, and then runs up these stairs, and then jumps off and lands on the spikes along the top of the rail, impales herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the doctor, he's a coroner. He shows up. Giacomo Rossi Stewart shows up to do the autopsy, and the people at the village are like, no, don't touch her. She has to go in the ground before morning, or else.
Yeah.
So we kind of got that weird thing. So we only see her, Morella, or Irina, just for that short period, and then she's a dead body in a couple of scenes.
Yeah,
which is that's what she is in this one.
Yeah.
The woman on the top, Giovanna Galetti, is
Richard Lynch.
the Baroness Graps. What's that, Chad?
I thought it was Richard Lynch. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, almost. But she kind of fits your other description, Daphne. You know? But she's a grieving mother that apparently is the cause of all this evil, right?
Right. Kind of. I mean, the villagers that let her kid die are actually the cause. But yeah, but yes, she is the cause.
Well, I mean, she's the one that
she's the one that
her hatred and everything is what has kept the kid from,
moving on. Yeah.
Moving on, yes. Yeah. And then Michaela Estra is Nadine, or the innkeeper's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And she blurts out, all she says is, nobody comes back from Villa Graps. Oh, now I'm dead,
Yeah. Then the little girl starts leaving handprints on the window, and it's all over.
Yeah.
It's over.
I'll tell you one thing. If that would have been my house growing up and some little kids come up putting their handprints on the window after my dad cleaned them, there's going to be trouble.
Ooh.
Well, the top two, especially Michaela and Giovanna, they were awesome in this. Mm-hmm. And this, I think, Mirella Pamphili. No, I'm sorry. I keep getting those two mixed up. Michaela. And I don't know if I'm saying that right. If I was in the U.S., I'd say Michaela.
Michaela? I think it's Michaela.
Mm-hmm.
This I thought was like her. Well, it was early. It was like her fourth credit. But she does a really good job of playing this part. And she was only, wow, is that right? I wonder if her birthday is right. She was like 14.
No way.
Says she was born in 52.
Wow.
I thought, well, there's a couple scenes where I looked at her both ways, but she did a great job. Showing her fear and the pain. And you mentioned Ruth, the character there played by Fabienne, is it's sort of like you have these, if there's something wrong with somebody, if they have a problem, you go to either the doctor or Ruth. And they come after the solution two different ways, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. So, and then the creepy kid of the show, Valerio Valeri. So what makes this really weird?
Is that a rhetorical question, or are you really asking us what makes it weird?
No, I want to hear it. I'm trying to feed you an opening here, so I'll shut up.
Is what weird? Because there was a lot of weird stuff.
Valerio Valeri, the actor that played the little girl.
Yeah. Where are we going here?
It's a boy.
It's a boy, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
No way.
He was Bava's assistant's son.
That's some wig, boy.
I really feel like if you didn't know that, you wouldn't.
I would never have figured that out.
I didn't know it the first time I watched it. I read all this stuff afterwards. And went, what the heck?
What I find creepy is the blonde hair, the really like the super white skin that I feel more like has no life in her. That's what I find more scary than anything else.
The little doll in the second picture in the middle is that's exactly what they used in the posters, except there was a dagger in the hand, I guess.
Yep.
Well, whatever they did worked, because he was very creepy.
Yeah, and apparently Bava, he didn't like having to wear a dress. Not all that surprising, right? Well, there may be some that like wearing a dress, but he didn't like wearing a dress. We don't have really any information on him. It's the only credit he ever did. But so Bava would tease him and call him Valeria, which is the feminine version of Valerio. And the kid would get so mad, and that sort of got the evil stare out of him that Bava was looking for.
Oh man,
these shots. And then Bava would cross his heart and
interesting.
Treat him like he was a demon or something like that. Laugh while he was doing it.
No children's psyches were hurt during the making of this film.
Well, I got to tell you, I when I first started watching this, I'm thinking, oh my God, another Italian horror film with a weird kid. I mean, look at how many there are in the 70s. Bava's got them, a bunch of them. Argento throws them in there. Fulci puts them in there.
My favorite.
Yes, I forgot the name of that one again.
Burial Ground. No.
Burial Ground.
Burial Ground. Yeah. Infamously creepy.
Yeah.
So 70s, and apparently
the 60s. What's interesting? It's interesting because that you brought that up, because recently, just last week, I was watching Pet Sematary and listening to the commentary, and Pet Sematary has the same. Yeah, the original one. Where for what's the character's name? Zelda.
The sister.
Zelda is also played by actually like a 20-year-old man.
Oh. Dude.
And it's really interesting kind of what that what's going on there. And when I was rewatching Kill Baby Kill afterwards, I thought, wow, Pet Sematary has a lot of the same stuff, like a grieving parent and this kid who dies and played by interesting.
Well, and I think they grab them because they do that a lot. Have an older person or even an opposite gender, because it gives you a feeling of that something's not natural.
Something's different. Right. Something's different. Yeah.
And in this one, at least according to Bava, it was the eyes. The kid had kind of really sort of, I don't know, I don't want to say buggy eyes, but yeah, you're right. And then that sort of translucent skin, I don't know what kind of makeup they use on it, but that was.
Yeah.
So that was the kid that did they get run over or something?
I think so.
Trampled. I think horses trampled.
Horses trampled him, and nobody helped him. And then her, and then she crawled over and started ringing the bell, and nobody came out to help her. And so now that's why whenever the bell rings, somebody's about to die. And
I love how everybody just says that as a matter of the bell's ringing. I mean somebody's going to die.
Right. Let's
and then
lock the door.
Blood's going to go out of them. Yeah.
I know.
Just sit down over here. I made roast beef.
Yeah, they just go on around. Just go on with your life.
Yeah.
Don't go outside
just
for a while.
Bar the door. Yeah.
Stay in here for a little bit. You want some green beans? You like cornbread? There's plenty here. Just stay inside.
So they really play with this shot. And so I've got a whole bunch of shots that I'm doing. I'm going to put them up full screen just because I don't think you could see you when I shrink them down, to fit in the middle. But this is sort of this one shot where they, I guess Bava's, we totally missed it. I think it was Mike Zatz commented on the last Bava movie we did about all the Bava zooms.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't we just do one on 70s?
That was a Fulci. Fulci did all the eyes.
Fulci. Yeah, all the
Mm-hmm.
Fulci zooms. That was it. That was it. House by the Cemetery. And we totally missed it. That he says, you know, like he said something like zooming to Fulci. Because it was all these shots of, you know.
Right.
Well, and here there's some of those too, but to me they're like for effect. So we start off with this shot of the little girl in the window, and then it zooms in. That's a little bit different, but kind of the same thing. And on that one, they did this. See, and I know they did this in Carrie too, but they had her like on a rolling platform and pulled her away from the window and then rolled it in reverse to look really weird when she came into the shot. And then here's the zoom in from the, you know, you start here and you end here.
That's cool.
And I don't care. It's just, it's disturbing.
I read too about the reverse filming in reverse, and it really, I mean, it's something that, like, I was trying to think back, like, well, which scenes did that happen in? And I couldn't remember, but it just seemed really natural, but also very disturbing. I thought that was really interesting. I like how
it's
it doesn't
no,
feel
you're
natural.
exactly.
It feels it doesn't feel natural, so it's off-putting to watch it like that.
But it's not so obvious that you're like, oh, what's going on here?
Right.
It's just part of this character being supernatural. Yeah.
I don't know if that's an example of the uncanny valley or not, but this idea that's just not quite there. And then just to add even more creepiness is this painting
God. Oh God.
no.
That I think Bava did that painting.
Wow. That's another thing that after watching it this time, also in Pet Sematary, there's a picture of a child dressed, you know, that style of a child kind of like as a little adult. Although I find the skull a little interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the painting of a child.
Yes.
It's a creepy. Put it in.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Bava version of Blue Boy or something only.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
Oh
God, I wish I had a Bava Blue Boy version.
I have a confession about this painting that I need to share with everybody.
Please.
You know how it zooms into the bottom there and it says Melissa
Graps. Yeah.
The whole first half of this movie before this, I thought they were saying craps.
Yeah.
Villa Graps and Villa. Oh, you don't mess with the Baroness Craps. I was like, huh? And then it zoomed in on the name, and I finally realized it was Graps. So I was embarrassed for myself, to say the least.
I would be.
Yeah.
The other reason I showed this is because there's so much green and blue lights in this movie. Yeah. And here's the magical like green cobwebs over there on the left. That everywhere you go, there's greens and blues, it seems like, as he walks through this decaying or crumbling city.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's tons of greens and blues, but in that picture, in that still that you had, the fact that Melissa is like in orange, it's just also a really strong contrast. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I'm sure. Yeah. So did you guys watch it? Did you see it in, was it in Italian with subtitles or was it English dubbed?
Dubbed.
I've only seen it dubbed.
Okay. So the Kino Lorber, you can watch it any variety of ways. You can watch it in Italian with subtitles, or you can do the English dubbing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do the English dubbing, which is pretty good, with the subtitles, there's almost no correlation between what they say and what the subtitles say. And I
was
still
wondering
think it's
about that.
Yeah, well, you guys probably you notice that. Chad, you usually turn on the subtitles, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I watched it on Shudder, and there were no subtitles on there.
Oh, okay.
So I was just flying by the seat of my pants. That's why I thought they were saying craps the whole time.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, and I think the difference is that when they're dubbing, they try to change the dialogue to match the number of syllables the person is saying. Like, so it's not just totally disconnected with their mouth moving.
Yeah.
So like instead of the subtitle might say stay away, and what she's actually saying is run away or get away or something. When they dub it, it's weird. It doesn't feel like or get out of here or something like that.
Well, when you watch like Godzilla movies, and what was usually said could be said in very short sentences for the Japanese, maybe take longer to say in English. So they usually put something dumb in there, like "run for the train car," wah! That kind of thing. They kind of do that to drag the mouth movement out with the dubbing. I would much rather watch a movie in its original language and then turn subtitles on.
I went looking actually in Kino Lorber, their streaming. I don't know if it's channel or whatever, but you can stream.
Yeah, Kino Now, I think it is, or something like that.
And I would have signed up for that to see if I could get if I could have gotten it with subtitles, but I just kind of ran out of time because I'm really interested to see this movie in its original with the subtitles, because I've only seen it dubbed. So I have no idea what I'm missing or anything in the story.
I mean, I think it's the same cut of the movie, but I don't know. Kino Lorber is kind of strange because sometimes they put all that stuff in there, and sometimes they do it's almost like bare bones. Like you get the dubbing and you don't even get subtitles, or sometimes you get both. Sometimes. So I think it was Black Sabbath and this one, it had all of that stuff in there. Now there's one coming out in about a week. They have a Blu-ray of Planet of the Vampires coming out. Oh. And I don't know what kind of extras are on there, but and that's a gorgeous movie.
Do you have the Blu-ray or the DVD of Kill Baby Kill from Kino Lorber?
I do.
And so you said you could watch it with subtitles?
Yeah. I could pick English or dubbing, English or Italian, and then with subtitles or without. And then also the really cool thing is the commentaries from Tim Lucas.
I saw that,
who wrote the book, the 1,000-page book on Bava called Mario Bava, All the Colors of the Dark.
All the Colors of the Dark, yeah.
I'm so late to the game. I tried to see where you could get a copy of that, and all I could find was one for $950.
Right. Yeah, I think I heard about it because Bill talked about it, about how hard it is to get and stuff. But I saw that he did the commentary, and I thought that was really, really cool. Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever be able to see that, but it's nice to know that it's out there with the subtitles, because like I said, I feel like anytime I've looked for this movie, it's always just been dubbed. Yeah. I didn't even know that you could get the original. So that's really cool.
I'm trying to remember. This is off. I don't want to turn around and pull it off the shelf, but maybe I should. But one of those, I think it's Black Sunday, has only dubbing. And but I think Black Sabbath had both, because I remember watching it. If you watch it in Italian with subtitles, you get a really weird voice instead of Boris Karloff.
Boris Karloff, yes.
Yeah. So if you want to hear Boris Karloff's voice, you got to hear the dubbing.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, you have to hear the dubbed one. Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, that's so cool.
Yeah, so that was something I wanted to ask about because to me it makes a difference. Although some dubbing takes me out of the movie, this one didn't. I didn't think it wasn't too bad. The people, the voices actually sounded like what the people looked like, as opposed to when they do that differently. So I'm trying to think. I got a bunch of other shots here of, well, this, I got to wait for Chad for this one. So I'll throw this up. There was a bunch of shots of people walking down through this area. One time it's him and Monica, and one time it's the same guy, Doctor, and Ruth.
I know. I love how everything looks like it's built out of stone, like not like made by stone,
well,
but like
is
dug out of stone.
And Chad, in terms of miniatures, I didn't see any information about any miniatures. They shot it at the exteriors like this. I think they shot at the town, and I forget the name of it off the top of my head. I know I have it written down here.
Well, I'm not sure if it was miniatures. It had the look
Calcutta.
of very well done miniatures. Some of the scenes of the landscape and the villa, a lot of those.
Those were so the villa the exteriors for the villa was really at the Villa Grazioli.
Okay.
And the cemetery was a set at where was this shot? Titanus Appia Studios in Rome. So I think all of it is, and then a lot of the interiors of the villa were on a set, but some of them weren't. Some of it were like their first. And if you watch, there's a also on the Blu-ray, the Kino Lorber Blu-ray, there's like a 25-minute featurette where Lamberto Bava and a guy they go to this place and just walk around it, and it's some of it's in the process of being restored, and that was shot in, I think it was 2007. But that's really interesting, that he'll point out places, and then you can kind of recognize, oh God, like it's amazing how, that living in the U.S. you're not used to that, but in Europe, in a lot of these towns are just such a weird maze of walkways and corridors and buildings and stuff that it's hard to imagine.
And that just gives it this atmosphere. That's something I loved also about Lisa and the Devil. It was like this underground maze, but people live there. It's just what they know. One of the scenes that really I really liked was when the doctor arrives, just into getting out of the carriage, and the carriage driver says, I'm not going to go any further. And he looks off into the distance and he sees the people carrying the coffin. And I love just kind of like exactly, that's it, perfect. And but I loved I loved everything about the scene, just like kind of like that. But the fact that the folks carrying the coffin, it almost looked like an insect to me, how it was like scurrying across. I mean,
it was
like
very
so
weird,
creepy.
and it kind of moved and wobbled along. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was like something is not right. There's this beautiful scene, and then there's this weird little thing happening down there. I loved that scene. Yeah.
I thought the same thing.
I'm so glad you got a picture. Yeah, you thought the same thing. It's so creepy.
Yeah, there was certain ones I was hoping to find a picture of. Another thing that was really creepy. So in the hallways of the Villa Graps were candelabras that were arms. sticking
Arms.
out of
I
the
know.
wall.
What the heck?
Oh, I didn't even notice that until now.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, did you see that? Did you see that? That
Now,
was
those
an
were-
arm.
And I think Tim Lucas said those were added. Those were not there.
It's just nuts.
But
Who would do that? It's crazy.
Wow.
love
you're
it.
picturing all the people standing behind the wall with their arms
Mhm.
sticking through. They're like
Mm-hmm.
frozen in the wall.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's so many. So this is another. Well, first off, let me see if I think this is the one. And these really don't show it as much, but the green and the blue here.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You've
The
got those moss.
Yeah.
That was just amazing. Amazing.
So beautiful. The moss on the rocks up against the decay of the building. Yeah, it was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah. And
I
just
think
so
that's
matter of fact.
Well, and again, you think of things like, in my mind, when you talk about an inn and you go to an inn, you walk through, that's the door into the inn. And that doesn't look like the door into a establishment to me.
Right.
Right.
But it is.
But it is. I know that's the thing that I love about some of these movies, and definitely with Bava, and I'm sure with others too, where it's just this common everyday thing to folks that they live with, but it's so beautiful when you step back and look at it. The moss and the brown and the gray, it's really beautiful. Yeah. And then all of a sudden there's this door. Like I was saying, it's like things are carved out of rock. I don't know if they actually are, like architecturally, but that's what it looks like, it's beautiful.
They called it, and Lucas called it, that it was built on tuff. They called it TUFF, which was some kind of rock or mineral that crumbled over time. So that's why they were having it was in a state of
disrepair.
It was kind of falling apart. Yeah. So
which was perfect because it had weird angles and it just it's really beautiful.
So see, in this shot, I think she looks like she could be 14.
Yeah.
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 And that's what I thought was so good about her when Melissa comes to the window and she's transfixed by it and her eyes are like darting around. I just totally bought everything that was going on, how terrified she was. And, it was,
You're right, because she totally believed it. She was like, sure, this is what they say happens. This is the curse. So I'm, I believe it.
And I
totally.
think in that first one I showed of her, that's where she's impales
Impaling
herself on the
Yeah.
gas jet. Yeah. So
What was that thing she had around her chest? A leech
something.
What do you call it?
yeah, so he called it Lucas called it a leech vine.
Leech
vine.
vine.
And I think the subtitles called it someplace. I wrote that in here. Now I don't see it. I must have buried it somewhere. Like a Cilice, Cilice, which was like a hair shirt. It was like a self-atonement or punishment thing, like a vine with hooks or thorns. Or
That's what I thought it was when I saw it, and then when I read that it was that they were leeches, that actually is. I mean, did they make things with leeches attached to them, or?
I think they just called it that because it leached
It bled you out.
the
Yeah.
blood.
Okay.
It bled them. It was a bloodletting, and
Kind of the hooks got
pain.
into your skin, and
but
made
it was
you
also
bleed, yeah.
supposed to involve pain to
Right.
purify, right?
Atonement,
At
something
least
you've
that
done
was my
something.
take.
Yeah.
So it was weird. He called it a leech vine too. When I searched leech vine, I got nothing. But Cilice, which was in the subtitles, is where it started talking about these, belts and metal apparatus that you wrap around your arms, your legs, or your whatever, with hooks on them. Eee.
I was
But yeah,
reading
I'm glad
too
you
that
brought that
a lot of this movie was improvised. It didn't seem like that to me, but He said from a 30-page script, you know, most of the movie ended up being improvised
Yeah.
on
And
the spot.
But it's one of those things that as you read it, the more you read about it, the more it's one of those things where you can find totally opposing views.
Mm-hmm.
And people that were there and should know, like supposedly there was a complete and full script filed, and that those were usually filed before they started shooting. I don't know. Maybe it was filed after they were shooting. You know, when you have to do dubbing, you got to have a script of what people said at some point. So somebody might be writing it down as they go. But both Bava and Erica Blank said, yeah, there was like a 30-page sort of like rough draft to start with, and that they did a lot of that stuff on the go. Now, I don't know. It sure makes a lot of sense, and it's very concise. So,
yeah.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it. It just didn't feel like it was.
It sure didn't feel like it.
Constructed too well. You know, it would have been a little more muddy if it was improvised, I think.
So this is a kind of a key scenes pop up there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, holy cow with this thing.
Mm-hmm. And then with the ball falling down it, forget about it. It's it's beautiful.
Second film in a row with a ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the crawling eye, that little girl's ball rolls out there.
But look at that blue. I mean, it's just, it's amazing to me that just the color in these movies, and that the cinematographer and Bava and thought to put it in, you know, into these movies. It's just so beautiful.
It's a lot of thought, because I mean, it makes sense because each level you go down would have a different lighting to each one. So,
well, he makes. I mean, this is used several times. Right? Is it in the dream? There's a place in the dream where it's almost like a simulated sex act. It seems like it's going down the center and coming back up.
Yeah,
like you're going in and out, and then it's also shot. There's one scene where you're at the bottom looking up, which is really disorienting.
Oh, I don't remember that. So, wow.
It's and it's one thing to find a set like that, but it's another one to be able to use it that well and shoot it.
Yeah.
That well.
The actress that played the Nadine, Michaela Esdra, she went on to have a career as a dubber, and she became the official dubber in the 90s of Winona Ryder and Kim Basinger. Yeah, and she did looking at the list, she did, you know, like all sorts of Olivia Hussey, Winona Ryder. She did a bunch of Winona Ryder, Tilda Swinton, Deborah Winger. Yeah, I just thought that was really cool. There's a couple.
So for English language films, and she dubbed them in Italian.
She was the one. Her voice was Winona Ryder. That kind of a thing. And there's a couple, which I love reading about that, because I saw this documentary. I think there's actually a couple documentaries where they talk about these actors who basically do dubbing, and they become the voice of these actors. So there's an Italian Winona Ryder, there's an Italian Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's that's what people hear when they think of these actors. And and kind of how it's this really interesting documentary. So it was cool to see that she went on and she was the official Winona Ryder in the 90s. If you imagined Winona Ryder, that was Winona Ryder's voice.
Wow.
So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it is.
It is. I'm glad you looked into that, because I totally missed that. I pulled this one up just because of the production design. The set decorator and the room is just amazing. It's just.
Yeah, the villa was so neat, and I really liked this character too. I thought she was an actress that played her.
Oh, she was great.
Yeah.
I mean, she had that quivering, shaking chin in that one scene, and wow, she starts off being really gruff and angry, and anyway.
Yeah, it was really interesting how you kind of, I feel like you kind of always, maybe there was like a seed of doubt maybe in my mind when I was watching it, like, what is she up to? But the way she played it was kind of like this grieving mother, you know, maybe she's insane. And then slowly you start realizing she's the one that's doing this stuff, you know, and it just felt like it was a really a natural progression that you would kind of become aware that she was doing this, but yet totally believable, because you're like, yeah, she's definitely something's up here.
They didn't let the
And
cat out of the bag right away. It sort of
no,
built up to it.
yeah, but there was enough where you're like, okay, yeah,
You
I
knew
can
something
see
was
it.
wrong
You
with
knew
her.
something was up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was kind of like a little over the top, but still believable. And yeah. And I love that. One of the things I was hoping to talk to Whitney about was some of the makeup stuff, because I liked how like especially with this character, that she was so kind of, she didn't really have very much color in her face, and she just looked drawn and old, and it just, I felt like it really played into her being like this old woman that you would just kind of feel sorry for, but yet you're kind of suspicious of, kind of in that whole witch kind of thing. And I really liked her character.
Yeah, she did an awesome job.
Yeah, so let's see, I think this is a different one. Yeah,
oh, that's a good one.
So I think this is looking through the graveyard. But one of the things, did you notice how this statue of the cherub on the left side there, that shows up in a bunch of scenes?
Oh, I didn't notice that.
In the graveyard. And then there's one shot where the two grave diggers are digging, and that statue is in the foreground right between them.
Oh, wow.
And then there's also a place where Monica, remember the scene, I think it's at the Villa Graps, where Monica is looking at an archway and she says, I remember this. And there's a stone cherub on the archway as a you know, like a figurehead or something. So I don't know what the point is, you know, to symbolize something supernatural maybe. But just the lighting, you know, that backlit window, look at how much that adds to it, you know. And you have the crosses and the caskets. I think it's a casket lid or something.
Piece of one, yeah.
Yikes. Now I'm almost down to the last one. Now this is one I didn't catch it, and then Lucas described it, and then I noticed it. So inside the Villa Graps, he's backed up against the wall, covered with cobwebs and stuff. And then he sort of like morphs into where he's in that scene in real life.
Yeah.
It kind of dissolves, and now he's outside, and there's the villa behind him.
Yeah.
And then he has to tear through the cobwebs.
Exactly. Yeah. I thought that was beautiful. That plus him like chasing himself around. And then it ending in that scene where he was caught in the cobwebs. It was like, yeah, it was neat.
Yeah, that scene where he was running and he catches up to himself was just, I thought that was genius. It was so cool and creepy at the same time.
Well, they take their, you know, he takes his time to do that, right?
Yeah.
You show up first, you start off with, he's standing in this room going, Monica, and the door shuts. So he runs and goes through the door. And then he's looking around in that room, and then the other door shuts. So then he runs and goes into that. Well, pretty soon the doors are shutting faster and faster. And then pretty soon he's catching up to somebody, and he's getting closer, and finally grabs a guy, and it turns around and it's him. So I just
good stuff.
I mean, there was so much that, you know, the nightmare that she had was amazing. I thought that Monica had of the dolls and the spiral staircase and the he's just brilliant at that stuff. So did you catch? So we know that Monica, she comes there thinking her last name is Shufton, and she was the daughter of the caretakers at Villa Graps, right? And we find out she really isn't. She's really Melissa's older
Baroness's.
sister.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Baroness's. So did you see that thing about Shufton and do you remember that cinematographer?
When I saw it in the notes, I remembered it. But I still am I'm still perplexed by that whole process. Like when I try to figure out what that the Shifton process is, that it kind of throws me for a loop. But yeah, I saw that you said that he had done that originally, and it was interesting that he chose that name for these people who were supposed to be supporting her, but really,
Yeah. So supposedly Eugene Shufton did this, the cinematographer, and I'm trying to remember the process too, but it has something to do with a way to do mirrors and place people in miniature sets that looks natural, to change the perspective, and glass. So it gained his name, the Shufton process, and he supposedly first used it in Metropolis in 1927. And then Tim Lucas tells the story and says, well, Eugenio Bava actually used it in 1914. And so, calling Monica's fake parents Shufton was sort of a jab at Shufton for being the fake maker of the process, I guess.
Right, that Mario's father, essentially, yeah. If Mario's father
actually invented it, it should have been called the Bava process or something. Anyway,
it's interesting. It's interesting.
It's a kind of a strange name to call somebody out of the middle of your script if you don't. If there isn't some connection, but supposedly it was in. I think it was in a movie called Cabiria that is actually thought of as one of the first epic movies. So, did you read about the music?
Yeah, I read from your notes, and I had heard about that before, that it was just a bunch of different library music.
Well, yes and no. I mean, this Carlo Rusticelli gets the credit, and a lot of it is stuff that he wrote, but it mainly comes from, it looks to me like it came from other Italian horror movies. So I thought it was interesting that a piece of it came from The Long Hair of Death.
I saw that.
And then a couple of Bava films, Blood and Black Lace and The Whip and the Body, and then I Vampiri. And there was some of the music in there that I thought was just phenomenal. I thought this is really weird. They just pulled this stuff in and it sounds so good. And they had that one, I think it was, I don't know if it was when Monica was dreaming or when she was walking outside or something, but it was just sort of a weird vibrating sort of bass note that I just thought was incredible. and because it was such a low budget, right?
It definitely added to the atmosphere. And I was surprised that it was, I didn't really know that it was such a low budget movie, because I feel like this is a name, even if you haven't seen it, you've heard Kill Baby Kill. Even if you get it confused with Faster Pussycat Kill, but yeah, I feel like the name is one, and I was really kind of surprised that it was a lower budget film that he made, especially because I think it's a really good film. So
yeah, and I don't think it doesn't look low budget to me, other than
it doesn't.
There's no name American actor in it, like in a lot of the.
Right, but all the actors do a great job. I mean, I just totally never would have. It doesn't look at all.
Yeah,
to me,
I feel like this was his Hammer film. This is sort of his gothic Hammer style film, and so it didn't. And even the cheaper Hammer films didn't look cheap to me.
Yeah.
So this didn't look like a cheap production at all.
And I never would have thought that the music was just kind of put together. I mean, I'm sure it was more than just put together, but you think, oh, there was someone who was in charge of the music and it was, all done together. But I thought the music was great too. That was really added to the atmosphere, and it was good.
I did catch some tinges of like a Dark Shadows feel.
Yeah,
some of it. I don't know.
I can see that.
Caught that or not? The producers are Luciano Catenacci and Nando Pisani. It's the only movie that they produced, and they apparently ran out of money halfway through it. And so the people finished the movie without pay because the story is because they cared so much for Bava that they didn't want to.
I read that a couple of times too, and I wondered if they eventually got paid. Not that it's important, but I was just kind of like, wow, they agreed to finish this, knowing they weren't.
Bava gave up some of his pay as well, didn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't get paid at all. I think is what I read, that he gave up his portion. So, and those two people, Luciano Catenacci was the production manager and also played Carl.
Oh, so okay, yeah, you said that.
And then Nando Pisani, the other producer, was also the production supervisor. Which maybe that's kind of what they do anyway. But that's an odd combination of people. Antonio Rinaldi, the cinematographer, did several Bava films. I'm pretty sure he did Planet of the Vampires, which is a beautiful, beautiful movie. It also lists Bava as being uncredited, so I'm sure he had a lot to do with a lot of them. He also did Danger Diabolic, another Bava movie, Baron Blood, Hatchet for the Honeymoon, Blood and Black Lace, The Whip and the Body. So yeah, he did a bunch of those. Black Sunday. Well, he wasn't. Let me take that back. He was not the cinematographer for those. He worked on the films. Cinematographer for Hatchet for the Honeymoon and Baron Blood, Danger Diabolic, Dr. Goldfoot and the Girl Bombs, Planet of the Vampires. Anyway, I would think, Bava as a cinematographer probably had people that he brought up, that he worked with, or cameramen that he knew got what he was going for. I don't know. It also said that triple feature that we mentioned before, the Orgy of the Undead, made $750,000 over a bunch of different play dates.
That's good, right?
It didn't make that much in Italy, and it's weird. In Italy, it's like on one hand they'll say it didn't do very well, but on the other hand they'll say it was the highest grossing Bava movie up till then. So I don't know.
Can we include the trailer that you sent us in the notes, because it is so awesome?
I could put a link, sure.
Yeah,
put a link in there.
It was so much fun.
Well, there's one. That's another. So that was it's really bad quality. There's one in the Kino Lorber Blu-ray that's only 60 minutes. This one was 60 seconds. This one's 2 minutes. So I'll try to remember to do that.
Thank you.
All
so
right.
Get it, people. Think of, if anything, just to think about like all of the times when there's creepy kids and weird balls disappearing, tanned or not tanned, disappearing down the hallways, and it's a really
good ghost story. It really is a good ghost story.
It is. It is. I've got to reevaluate my top horror movies, because the first time I watched this, I was just knocked back. I thought it was so good.
Wow.
And then as I watched it more, that's when I always started really getting into the cinematography and the dressings and the clothes too.
Yeah.
So and apparently they called this like a sort of the closing film of the Italian Golden Age, from like 57 to 66 or something of horror. And I don't know that much about it. It's just something. It might be a term that Tim Lucas coined. I don't know.
Well, now that I've kind of learned that it was, more on a lower budget, it it makes me like it even more, because if it is like held in such high esteem, or it's considered the end of this golden age, it's kind of like, I don't know, it just makes me appreciate it even more.
Yeah.
Yeah. I dug it. All right, folks. You know, we do have some feedback, but I think I want to save it on the crawling eye. I think I want to save it. We're running kind of long, and I don't want Whitney to miss the comments about tan genitals. So,
oh, that's so bad.
If you haven't listened,
too bad that really is a thing.
So, anyway, so this is the last shot. I saved this for last.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
No, that's the worst one.
I love it.
Well, you have to,
Good night.
and you have to pair. Yeah, you have to pair that with the weird giggling too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
You know, Chad, you said when they had the body on the spikes, at the beginning, all through the credits, in the German, in Die Totenaugen, they had they showed her little dainty shoes and white stockings, kind of walking down a stair step. All you saw was her feet.
Oh, really?
Giggling and stuff. Yeah, during the credit. I like the other one better. Makes you wonder.
It just seemed to take a little bit of the dramatic effect out of it when you see this body laying on spikes, and down at the bottom it's going, filmed in Panavision.
Right, exactly.
Color by Kodak.
A little bit. Yeah.
Just sucked a little bit of the drama out of it. See.
All right. So this is wow. Kill baby kill. That's it for this episode, Real Believers. But every 2 weeks we'll be back focusing on a specific film released between 1920 and 1969. Next up is one chosen by Whitney, and we don't know what it is yet. So
super surprise.
You'll know when we know. It might be in the blog notes if I know by then. So anyway,
it's gonna be good.
Thank you so much for hanging with my ineptitude at the beginning of the show where we had to start over. Oh shoot, they don't know that, do they?
No, they do now.
All right. Say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody.
Good night.
Gruesome Magazine.